Hey guys, welcome to an episode that's going to be very interesting to you or not so much. If you are still hung up on why I don't do another couple hundred videos about cigar box guitars or license plate guitars, this probably is not the one for you because we're going to be talking about a project with a cello. That's Cello. And what you might not know is about, well, it's getting on 5 years ago, I decided that my instruments looked pretty bohemian and they were pretty popular, and they were great to put out for one song in an artist set to kind of say, hey, yeah, look at how crappy this is and I can play it. So I decided I was actually going to find someone that could help me with my technique, meaning setups, durability, repairs, that kind of thing. And I found someone, and you know them from a playlist called A Minute with Fred. And you've seen that on those episodes, we're kind of working on some stuff that is not, well, we did an episode called Yard Sale Guitar, and at the end of that you found out that we were actually working on a guitar that belonged to Joni Mitchell and was worth in excess of $50,000 because it went back to Bob Dylan and Janis Joplin and things. And I'm going to give you a link down below so you can learn about Fred. And also, he was just covered in the Atlantic magazine. There was an article in there. It's come out in the September 2025 issue. The hard copy will be on the stands. And it talks about his work through Westwood Music and stuff in the 60s. And you're going to find the Laurel Canyon people, all kinds of people. But I'm fortunate enough to be around Fred, and I know I've been there since June 1st of 21 because he gave me this violin for no apparent reason, and then I figured out after a while I was supposed to learn how to start fixing these things. By the way, if you're going to get into violin and cello repair, there's a book you need to know about. Hans Weishar and Margaret Shipman wrote Violin Restoration. Now, I need you to know that Fred's father, Herman Wallachy, was a fine instrument salesperson and worked out of the same storefront that Westwood Music developed into, which became a hub for all of your rock and roll types in the 60s. But prior to that, it was a fine orchestral instrument shop, and one of the things that went out of there was the Bass of Spain, which was a cello made by a Stradivari. Somebody took the front of it off because back in the early 1700s you had people saying, oh, that guy didn't know what he was doing, I'm going to put my own front on it, and etc., etc. So somebody found the front of it and then found the back of it, and Hans Weishar was the last one that I know of that did some work on the soundboard or the front or the face or whatever words are in that book. So what's going on in the background is I'm doing some work on some stuff you guys don't know about, and one of those projects has a repair tag in it from 1744. So we'll leave it at that. Now, I want to show you this. This is a cello. It's, I would say, from about 1970. It was made by Max Hoyer in West Germany. The end pin just fell out of it there because I didn't glue it in. And the reason I haven't done anything with it is because it has some damage here. And so somebody handed it to me and said, here, and then I kind of figured out again, maybe I should kind of figure out what to do with this. So there's a couple of things you could do with this. I have some spruce here from a piece of wood that was come out of Italy in the 1940s. It's big enough to put a to build an arch top or a cello front out of. It's split if you split it right, and I have the tools to do that. Thank you, Martwin Do. But moral of the story here is, if you look at this close, you have to match the spruce here. Yeah, anytime you're working around the edges and you come out to a point, the more you're working with end grain, the more likely it is to split. And this is sticking out. The good arch tops, the Ken Parker arch tops, have this configuration where this is actually out further. It lets you pull the arch out further and work the radius. These are all hand carved instruments if they're good. Now, Max Heuer, West Germany. I think at some point when this was new, somebody probably paid a couple $1,000s for it, and I don't know what it's worth now, but it's not worth much if it's busted up like this. So again, I can match spruce that I have, which means the grain pattern, the tilt of it all, and this book tells you how to do this repair. Or I could possibly, since this is one of my first jobs, I could find another cello and remove the piece out of here and get it to match and make this functional. This is never going to be worth a ton of money to somebody, but you know that magic cleaner I keep telling you about? You got to agitate, like you got to shake can well. I'm going to give you a movie up there to watch just in case this cello stuff is getting to you, because there's actually, I built a cigar box guitar one time for somebody who has a song called Shake Can Well, and it's actually, the lyrics are the warning label from a can of WD-40. So how bad is this? Well, if we take the magic cleaner and go here, we're going to find out that this thing is actually pretty cool. And when you hear it, oh, look at that, no wonder. When you start to hear it squeak, that means it's clean. But when you look at the pattern of the spruce, oh, look at that. Yeah, it's nice. It will be nice. So let me set this aside. So I have a search going on, like my searches for arch tops and those kinds of things that you all have picked up on, and I've noticed the price escalated. Luckily, I got a lot of stuff early, but the other day on Facebook Marketplace locally, someone had a cello listed, and I looked at the picture and I go, why would someone do that? I thought it was interesting, but I looked at the front of it and said, even though they've done that, that one section that I need right here is on this cello. And as luck or fate would have it, I ended up knowing the person. I didn't know that I was getting, that's the beauty of Marketplace, but I'd seen this person at antique shops and estate sales and stuff. So it turns out that the price of the cello was $12, believe that or not. And it was in pretty good shape, except the fingerboard was missing. Well, I happen to have a few fingerboards for cellos out here. And they had done a project with it, and that project involved making a lamp out of it. Look at that. Now, the one thing I do want you to notice is this cello is the same size as the other one, and the part right here is in one piece. This is what I'm interested in. So, what are we going to do with the rest of it? Well, this is obviously no good. So I'm going to do a little project that you might find interesting. It's going to solve a problem that I have in my shed, and Anyway, I'm going to have to take the front of this off. The back of it has already been off because, well, that's how they got the light fixtures in here. But I'm going to show you how to take the front soundboard, the face of it, the table off of it. And then we're going to get inside here, and I'm going to do a cool little project, and then we're going to find out how I can use this once I get the finish off, the grain down, and get it sanded in the right place. The purfling on this thing is even perfect. Let's get to the bench. All right, guys, before we get going, I need you to meet Bud. The dog, I don't even know what his name is. He's a giant German Shepherd, but he comes in here and sees if I have food, and now he's not wanting to be on television and ruin his street credibility. So Chick Flick Teal Pointer is going to help Bud mosey on along for a little bit. Anyway, here we are. I have some instruments that we're going to call a parting tool or a parting knife. This one is made out of Sheffield steel. It's very old. It's got this kind of a bone handle or something. But the idea is that you get in where the edge is. You don't want to start up here on these corners because they'll break easily. But you just get in here and you work this along with the sharpened edge. And sometimes heating it up works, and you just come along and work this loose like so, and you'll hear it popping. And we're getting up to the point where, well, I've already done the other side where the good piece is that I'm going to need, I think. But I've got a few of these, like so, and I can just get these in here and work them just a little bit. Now when I get up to the edge there where that corner is, I'm going to kind of want to be a little bit more careful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, let me move the camera up a little bit. And I will rotate this over. I'm sorry, but the electrical cord that's coming out of the bottom of the cello is kind of impeding me. Anyway, you will not see that in the Hans Weishar book. Anyway, I'm going to, let me move it over here where you can see a little bit better, because I've already been through this one here. So I'm taking the edge, none of these are sharp, but when I get over here I would turn this, and then I can get this right up to that edge, and then I can tap this. So when I get up here, I'm going to open this a little bit by prying it like so. I like my bench up in Malibu. It's a little bit lower, but anyway, I can open that up a little bit and get this down in here, and then I can take this part and line it up right at the edge and just tap it a little bit and knock everything off the table. But I do not want to break that, and I want to remember that these corners have a block underneath that is glued. It's about this big, but I just got through here. There we go. Now once I got through there, it easily is going up to the top right up here. And of course there's a block behind this part, and I want to work on this very carefully. So You saw how I did that. I just took a parting knife and went around and followed everything. And the most important part is that the piece I need right here is intact. So go up here and work on this and get this loose on both sides, and then I will score this part with a knife, and then I will carefully lift this up and pull it out from underneath here, and we'll find out what's inside. All right, if I didn't tell you this before, I'm telling you now. I'm telling you now. I'm telling you right away. Score the top of your cello table where it meets the neck right up here, so that you don't ruin everything. I'm going to get down in here and break that glue loose now, all the way to that edge. Oh, and all the way to this edge. See if I can do this without knocking anything over. Oh yeah, there it is. And I think we're going to have a successful light bulb change here. Oh my, look at that. If those aren't 40 watts, I don't know what is. Oh, look at, can someone tell me what this says right here? There's all kinds of something or other. I don't know. I really can't believe that I'm actually filming this. Remember, kids, electricity will kill you. All right, I need to be really careful with the sides of this, because I do have an awesome project in mind. For reals. Okay, let me find my wire cutters now. Oh, I like how they use this safety scrapparatus here by tying a knot in the cord. That was lovely. And of course the cello end pin made a wonderful electrical fixture. And I think that we can take off this outer part here. There we go. I want to maybe use these, save these for my next cello lamp project, right? And I think I'm going to look at where they attach this cord. And instead of saying Elmer's glue or type, I'm going to say aliphatic or elephantic or whatever they used here to put this on. Yeah, there we go. Wonderful. I don't think you've seen this type of thing before, have you? I've never really done this kind of thing before. Have you? Yes, I have, but only a time or two. Third-rate cello, whatever. Yeah. You know, they had music like that on the radio when I was a kid. Yeah, look at this. That is not hide glue, I'm relatively sure. Again, we'll use aliphatic or whatever the good luthiers are saying now. Look at that. Oh, we have to thread this out. We don't want to displace that bass bar. we? Can anyone, just anyone, tell me what that says right there and here and here and wherever? This whole thing is full of this. Do you think that's repairable? Danger, Will Robinson, danger. Okay, there they all are. I found the cello end pin. Whoa! And we are ready for our project, which I believe might begin with figuring out how we're going to make sure that everything that was glued back here stays glued, that the fingerboard goes back on. Anyway, you are not going to believe this. This is going to be completely and utterly disamazing, just like this Chick Flick Teal Paul Miro jump out guitar sign. That says California. Don't hate me for it. Okay, guys, let's check out this mess I got going on here. First, we carefully extracted this label that says Cecilio Fine Musical Instruments CCO 100, serial number 20502209. This is in pretty good shape from being from Cremona, Italy, don't you think? Anyway, we ain't using no hide glue here for this project. And what I've got going on is whenever somebody took the back of this off, they kind of cracked everything here. And so, just like I just cracked my toe dropping a clamp there, but I glued everything back together here. Basically, and there was a couple of breakout areas right here, like that. You know, breakout area, I don't like that term. It's kind of like a icebreaker where you go to something at work or something, they actually have you interact with other people. Yeah, they're about as excited about me interacting with them as I am them. Okay, I want you to point out there's something right there in a language that I don't understand. I don't know why they have this here. Some kind of newspaper. It looks to be something, I don't know what it is. But anyway, look at that. Isn't that nice? It's all put back together. Now for the next step. So now I have two pieces of poplar. One is longer than the other. I cut them off at a 45. You see that? And then rounded them off. And if you look at this one, you'll see that this one fits right there. And it comes almost up to the top here. And it rests on the outer radius. And this one right here goes right here, and it does the same kind of thing. You see that? There we go. Look at that. You see that? Okay, we're going to take the not hide glue now, and we're going to put some there. Notice the 45 is angled up. And we're going to put some right here, like so. You see that? You see that? And now we're going to put some right here and some right here. You see that? We're going to put that just like that. What do you know? How perfect is that? And now we're going to do the same thing here, but we're going to put the 45's facing the other way, like so. There we go. There we go. You see how neatly that's rounded off? There we go. There we go. And then we're going to put a little bit here. Remember, because there's a radius that comes up where the spurs tie into the back. And we're going to put this with these pointed the other way. And that is going to sit right there. Check that out. Now I'm pulling in this corner here. And I'm going to take another one of these clamps and do the same thing up here, because without the top or the table, as they call it, this wants to work its way out and spread. So then we're going to take yet another one and we're going to go under here. This is kind of like weaving. Okay. And then we're going to go in the middle here. You see that? And we're going to pull those two together. Okay, now wherever we see gaps, we're going along and pushing a plethora of glue, formerly known as the artist, formerly known as a bead of glue, in those gaps. Now we wait for glue to dry. And now we're going to take our ooh-ah Cover's Paradise tri-tape dispenser, try meaning 3, or try to make something out of whatever this is. Anyway, we're going to go along now, and we're going to mask the edges here, like so, all the way around, everywhere in the Tri-County area. Okay, we have masked off everything except what we didn't want to mask off, including this fine scroll up here. You're learning such new technology, terminology. All right, fast forward. The masking tape has come off. We're accenting the top. Don't tell me that you knew that I was going to make a set of shelves in a half of a cello, because if that's what you think, you're wrong. I'm going to get... Oh, I had a little bleed off there. Don't ask what this is. I'm going to make sure that that stays nice and clean like that. There we go. Okay. And we got one more of these pieces of wood here to get. Okay, last thing we're going to do here is we're going to mark off the fingerboard. There'll be room for the nut right there, but we're going to put this about where the top of the F-holes would be. All right, our glue is on. A little bit more here now that we know where it's going to go. And this cello is not going to make music by itself anymore. That's for sure. And so we'll just put a couple clamps on here. All right, guys, so what do you think now? Can you tell me what this is? because we're going to let the glue dry and we're going to find out what I intend to do with this cello. All right, guys, we are at the end, and I think I'll start the end with where we were at the beginning. You'll remember this Max Hoyer cello from the 1970s, which when you start looking at it, that means this thing is 50 years old now, and we had this piece missing. Things fall over. This is slightly more than a student instrument. It's not ever going to be worth a ton, but it had this going on here. Now let me get that out of the way and we'll take a look at something I've been telling you about. I had a piece of spruce that was imported into the United States from Italy in the 1940s, and I split it down, and I've got this piece, so I would simply just match up the grain, and it's thick enough to get a curve there. That's one way of doing it. Or we can take the $12 cello, and the piece that's missing out of that one, we pull the finish off, and we can cut this piece off because they're the same size cello. I find it interesting that that's what was on the back. I can't read that. If you know what it says, tell me, but it looks to me like somebody was doing finish work on these things and laying them down on newspaper and then doing the finish, and some of it would stick and you'd pull it up and you simply rip it off. This is not a Cremona, California or Corona, Italy grade instrument. So now that this is gone, I haven't decided what I'm going to do, but I do want to show you what we ended up with, because you are thinking I just made a couple of shelves. How cliche would that be? No. In my shop, I want to be able to reach into a drawer that's right over here. I want to reach up on a shelf. I want to grab whatever I need to work on the guitar, and it's nice if I can put the stuff away right where it goes. So what happened to the rest of the cello? Here we go. Can you see it? This is Jeopardy. No, this is a clamp holder. You see that? So those shelves that were there, we'll take, for example, one of these clamps. You open it up just right and you put it right back on the shelf. I have clamps like this. Same idea. Put them on that edge of that shelf. Squeeze them a little bit. Up here, can you see any of this? I have edge clamps. So when things are split, like this cello right here, see that crack? I put one side there, and I have a way to put one on each side, clamp them down, and then I screw this and it pulls everything together. So I have edge clamps. Those can go right there. I have any number of little small clamps, like so. I can put those right up there. Have a twist. I have clamps that look like this. I have all kinds of clamps that I use for kerfing, including these Chick Flick Teal specials. And I have these. These are awesome. These are really awesome. They sell them for clotheslines, but they're perfect for kerfing. I've got clothespins. I can use those. I have these big clamps up here that I have on the fingerboard of the cello. I have clamps like this. And of course I have a ton more of these clamps. I have sound hole clamps that you use to put a bridge on. I have different sizes of those. I have these clamps that look like a rabbit. You've seen these, right? Anyway, the moral of the story here is I can take this cello body and I can hang a guitar headstock clamp. I can take a piece of rope about this long and tie it together and make an endless loop and loop this around a piece of wood on the wall, or I could nail it right to the wall somehow and put a piece of wood underneath. But this, my friends, is the fanciest clamp rack you have ever not imagined that you could do yourself, and it's all right there within reach. Now, if anything ever happened to the rest of this cello, especially this one, it really doesn't matter. If I can get, for $12 and a little bit of Sheffield silverware, something to hang my clamps on right there, I don't know what to tell you. I could put a piece of magnetic strip here. There's so many different possibilities. But this, people, I swear, I know it's cool and you know it's cool too. So I'm going to have to introduce you to orchestral instruments because I'm working on them. And I think this was a good way to start. Give me a like. If you didn't like it, well, you've been dealing with all kinds of stuff your whole life that you didn't like, starting with that mother-in-law you had. So give me a like anyway. I will see you with a guitar project next time.